In topic 1.6, we're going to be solving compound inequalities. Compound inequalities are inequalities that are joined by either the word and or. When you're looking at and inequalities, sometimes you won't see the word and, but you will see the less than symbol. So it looks like a number less than x is less than a number. With or, you'll usually see the word or. And inequalities, once you have them, so here x is greater than -4 and x is less than 3, you're going to graph where they intersect. So here you'll notice you're graphing everything that's bigger than -4 but less than 3. It has to meet both requirements. So usually it looks like a line segment. When you're graphing or inequalities, that means your solution could have either or, so you want to include both. It doesn't matter where they intersect. It's the union. So here we have x is less than or equal to -3, x is greater than 1 on the same number line. So it looks like lines going in opposite directions. We're going to do some examples here. So in number 1, I usually like to identify if it's an and or right away. This one is an and inequality because it has my less than symbols. So what you're going to do is split this into two problems. Both are going to have this middle part. So my first problem is going to be 8 less than 3y minus 7. My second problem is going to be 3y minus 7 is less than or equal to 23. And I would put the word and in between them because of the less than symbols. Here you can solve for y. So for this first one, I got 5 is less than y. Let's solve the second one. And here I got y is less than or equal to 10. Since this is an and inequality, we're going to actually graph them separate from the line because you want to see where they would both overlap or intersect. Remember your format. So this first one, I'm going to fix the format. So it switches to y is greater than 5. So since my two numbers here are 5 and 10 on my number line, I'm going to put a 5 and a 10. But I will graph separately first. So y is greater than 5 would be an open circle to the right. Y is less than or equal to 10 would be a shaded circle to the left. So here you want to look at where they would intersect. They're going to intersect between 5 and 10. So when you do your final number line, you want your circles to look the way they do. So the one on 5 is unshaded, the one on 10 is shaded, and we shade everything in between. So our final number line looks like a line segment. And then when you write your final answer for and, you don't use the word and, you use the less than symbols. So I'm going to go here from left to right. 5 is less than y is less than 10. And the 10 should have the equal to because that one was shaded. So that would be our final answer for that one. When you have an or inequality, it's a little different. You're still going to separate it into two. So we have k plus 6 is less than -4, or 3k is greater than or equal to 15. We're going to solve each of those. So I get k is less than -10 and k is greater than or equal to 5. When it's an or, you want to graph on your number line both of them. So this time we're going to graph them together. So I have -10 and 5. K is less than -10 would be an open circle shaded to the left. And k is greater than or equal to 5 would be a shaded circle to the right. So I already have my number line done. On these, we do it on our number line right away. And then when you write your final answer, this time you leave them separate and you use the word or. So we have k is less than -10 or k is greater than or equal to 5. Number 2 is similar. So on number 2 here, I notice my symbols right away. And I'm going to use the word and, because here they didn't have the word or on it. So I'm going to split this into two problems. -5 is greater than or equal to 3b minus 2. 3b minus 2 is greater than -14. And I'm going to solve both of them for b. This one, if I fix the format, becomes b is less than or equal to -1. This one's b is greater than -4. So again, when it's an and, you're going to put your two numbers. So we have -4 and -1. But we're going to graph it separately first. So b is less than or equal to -1 would have a shaded circle to the left. And b is greater than -4 would have an open circle to the right. You only want to see where they intersect or what they have in common. So that would be between -4 and -1. So my final number line will have an unshaded circle at -4, a shaded circle at -1, and we will shade everything in between. Again, this is because this is an and problem. When it's and, you graph separately first. And then your final answer, we go from left to right. So I put -4 is less than b is less than or equal to -1 because the -1 was shaded. And when it's and, you always use those less than symbols when you write your final answer. Number 4 is an or problem because it has the word or, so we can already solve them. They're already separated. For my next one, -4. G is less than -10. So now that I have my two solutions, since it's an or, I'm ready to graph. So I have -10, -5. The one for -5 said greater than. So that's an open circle shaded to the right. And the one for less than -10 is going to be an open circle shaded to the left. So again, when it's or, you shade them on the same number line right away. They'll look like two lines going in opposite directions. Here we can write our final answer. So we have, I like to go from left to right so it matches my graph. So on the left, we have G is less than -10. Then or on the right, G is greater than -5. That way it matches what you see on your number line from left to right. So just to summarize, when you're dealing with an and inequality, you won't see the word or. You'll either see the word and or your whole problem together with symbols. When you see those, your number line is going to look like a line segment. Like there's two circles and they're shading what's in between. And the reason that happens is because you actually have to graph them separately first, like what we did on number 1. And then you see where they're going to intersect, so what numbers they would have in common. When you're doing an or inequality, you're graphing them on the number line right away. They'll look like two lines going in opposite directions. And then when you write your final answer, you use the word or. For and, it's very important that when you write your final answer, you put it back together using the less than symbols. So like what we did right here. Instead of leaving it greater than -4 and less than 3, we change it to -4 is less than x is less than 3. That means that x can be any of the numbers between -4 and 3.